we're back at Tupton again and back on my dad's XK. Now, a lot of you liked the original video of this car, and although it was done and running and driving, it became quickly apparent that it wasn't fully done. Today we're going to hopefully sort that and get everything finished on this car to make it to a point where my dad can run and drive it fairly reliably. It is 25 years old, so we've got a fair bit to do. We're going to change the bonnet hinges, gap the bumper. We need to change the entire cooling system on the front. The thermostat tower snapped in half when we tried to bleed the cooling system, and we found a suspension fault as well, which we'll show you later on in video. So a lot to get done, but it's a lovely day, as you can see. I've got Mel and my dad helping me today, so if they don't knock my head off with a bonnet, we should be well away. So yeah, welcome to Peak Classic Cars. We're back on the XK. Let's get it done. So we're going to take all bumper bolts out to start with. We need to raise the bumper up. It had spacers under these, so my dad's going to do that. While he's doing that, I'm going to take the bonnet hinges off. 3 13mm bolts on each one. Now, some people said that the bonnet hinges might be all right, but it had a fairly heavy front impact, so I do want to change them, and we've got a good pair of bonnet hinges, so it just makes sense to get it done.
A lot of people don't know about the XK8, but this hole here is for what's called the service mode. What you do, you take the struts off when the bonnet is normally down. So, take the struts off, lift that up, and all you do is slide a bolt through there, and the bonnet can't shift. There's one either side, so you put 2 knots in there and it lifts the bonnet more or less vertical.
So then the bonnet's a lot higher and a lot more headroom.
You've got a lot more working room under the bonnet.
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
That's one of the secrets at XK8 that not a lot of people know about, but there you go.
It's going to help somebody out, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, that doesn't look bent, does it? But I don't know. It's still worth changing, I think.
The new ones are in the boot to Katie.
I'll swap sides with you then. You do that side. We talked about spacing bumper up. Now, although he says it's one. Although this looks a bit dodgy with 4 separate washers, the other XK had been untouched by anyone, and it had 4 just separate washers spacing this bumper up like that. So we're going to do exactly the same, but with new washers. So we're going to space it up, 4 under each, job done. As several popular YouTubers like to say, these are our brand new second-hand bonnet hinges. I'm not going to keep saying that because, you know, it's a popular phrase for somebody else, but handily marked up with my dad. We'll get them fitted. If the other ones did have a bend in them, we know these ones are going to be all right. So I'm going to fit the other side. Go, Mel. And that's the new bonnet hinges on. They're looking good. So quick tea break, and then we're on to the main bit of the job today, which is, I actually showed it in another video, but when we went to bleed the cooling system, this just snapped. This is a massive alloy tower that bolts down in the V of the engine and has got the thermostat housing in it and everything. Now, obviously we have got one on the other car, but Dad has handily bought a brand new one and a brand new thermostat housing. So rather than mess about, we're going brand new, but we've got to tick off pretty much everything you can see here before we can, including inlet manifold. We have to lift the inlet manifold and move it back slightly. So a fairly involved job, and that's like the main bit we want to get done today. So quick tea break and then we'll do that. Right, so first things first, hoses off, these covers off, that hose off, and then it's a bunch of 8mm to take this plastic pipe off. We need to get that one out of the way as well. These are really brittle, so try not to break these if you do. Got some massive pliers that'll make the hoses a bit easier.
Yeah. You'd have to import that when you come back. Yeah.
That we're definitely getting ready. We've got another one of them though, so it's no big deal. Right, so that's the front end stripped down, taking everything off, and this is the piece we want to get off. It's held on by 4 8mm. 1 there, there, and then 2 under the inlet manifold. Now, a lot of people were saying that you need to do a lot more strip down, but My dad managed to get the one off the other car without doing all that, so we're going to pass over to him in a minute when we've had his cup of tea, and we're going to see how we can get this one off.
Get them so far, get them loose, don't take them out, get the magnet on them and pull them out, that way you don't drop them down.
Yeah. So there's 10mm bolts, 5 on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that hold the inlet manifold down. As Dad was just saying, we need to remove all of them, lift the manifold up and back slightly, because there's 2 8mm that hold this tower on that you just can't get to if they're not in. So get these out, basically having to lift the manifold a bit, but not end of the world. So we'll get them done. Do you want to do honours then? Ta-da! Oh, bottom half of it's not over, but it's not. It's not real.
It's plastic.
You know,
It's plastic one. That's why they're notorious for failing. That's why everybody.
look at the state of that though.
That's why everybody retrofits with the metal ones.
That's been leaking from everywhere it could leak. There, obviously all that, under there.
But that's what I say. That's why they're always replace these. Everybody and his dog replaces those plastic ones with a metal tower.
Not difficult to see why we're changing this. So, yeah, chuck us that new one. Oh, I feel bad even touching that with these hands. Bit of a difference. So yeah, old and new. Yeah, that's going to be a lot better. So, I keep, yeah. Fitted thermostat housing, new gasket and rubber on base. We've put a little bit of red high temp RTV on there, so we'll just get this one put in now. So that's the new tower in, new coolant crossover pipe in, all the hoses back on, all the connections back on. We've got to put an overflow on, which will only take 2 minutes, just from there round to here, and then fill it up with coolant. So that's pretty much the cooling system done. We're going to get the bonnet back on after that, which we'll probably not record because you've seen that in other video. So we'll button up the cooling system, get the bonnet on, and we'll come back to you when we get cracking with suspension. So the cooling system's pretty much done now. We've replaced the bonnet hinges and gapped up the bumper, and as you can see they're looking way better. So the bonnet and bumper actually fits together. It could still potentially do a little bit there, but that's just tweaking. We can get that done. What we need to get done now is the last major part that's stopping this car from being on the road, and that's this suspension on this side. So we've fitted the 19-inch wheels from the other XK onto it, and while we were fitting them we noticed that this front wheel does that. Now we know what this is because we've done it on the other XK. It's the top wishbone bushers. We've got the parts we need to fix it. Sometimes this is a really bad job. There's an alloy front subframe on XK8s with a steel pin, so if the pin is seized or if it's done a lot of miles on it like this, it'll be an absolute nightmare to get it out. I did one once that took almost all day to get the pin out. We had to heat it, hammer it, it was a nightmare. However, because if it's been done before or well looked after, it'll fall out, as you might see in a minute. So we're not going to know until we have a look. So wheel off, and then we'll see what we're up against. If you have a look in here, this back wishbone bush, watch the arm, completely dead. So this is the pin I was talking about. It doesn't look great, if I'm honest. It looks quite rusty. So 24mm, take that off, knock the pin through, and then we can replace these bushers.
Did it do it?
No. So that is now the wishbone out. That took a lot of doing. So my advice if you're going to do this job is do what my dad did and douse it with WD-40 for about a week beforehand, but heat it up, heat it there and there. Now alloy and steel obviously expand at different rates, so if you heat the alloy subframe up and then try and break the bolt free after you've took the 24mm nut off this side. The minute you can get it spinning, you're onto a winner. If you can get it spinning, happy days. And then what I would suggest, I've used a big copper mallet, and then just start tapping the long bolt out, tap it, and then spin it. And as you're spinning it, fire more WD in. Tap it, spin it, tap it, spin it. It takes a lot of doing, but it's not worth cracking the alloy subframe. So this is what we're fighting against. They are just, I mean, dead. That's insanely bad. And then the bolt itself was very, very corroded. We're not going to reuse this. I mean, it probably could be reused if you cleaned it all up, but it's just not worth it. So yeah, we can get it back together now. New pin, absolutely lathered in copper grease. We've cleaned out the inside of the arms with a Dremel because there was a lot of like old caked on rust. New bushers are in. You have one of these washers either side of the bush, so like there and there on either side. And then you have a smaller washer on top of that, like that. So we've pushed it through from one end, and now it's just a matter of fitting it all up and getting the washers in without dropping everything, which is fun. So let's have a crack at that and see how much we can drop. So that's about it. Another day done, a really long one, eh?
Yeah, Chad.
But we have done cooling system, bumper, bonnet alignment, bonnet hinges. We found out how to put a hood down with just a key, and we've replaced the suspension bushers on this corner and got all that back together, arch liner in. We had hoped today to give it a wash and take it for a little drive, but as you can probably tell, it's quite late on now. It's about 5 o'clock-ish. We want a Sunday dinner, so we're going to leave it here. Dad's going to use his car for the next couple of weeks, see if he can find me a few more jobs to do. But in the meantime, I think you'll agree it's looking pretty good, and you're happy with it, aren't you?
Yeah, it's looking good.
So that's it for this one. If you've liked this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. We're growing quite quick now, and better things are coming. Like this video, check out some of the others. I'll link the first video where we repaired this in the description. You can check that one out, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Say bye.
Bye.